just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar, and what a weekend of sport. Alex Volkanovski does it again, defends against Lopes. Absolute clinic, absolutely loved it. Now, before we get into the show, just real quick, the Grumpy Coffee Valentine's Blend. It goes live. It's available now. This Valentine's, baby. It's basically a brand new blend. It's called the Disappointment Blend, and it's called At Least the Coffee Won't Disappoint You this year. So Valentine's Day Grumpy Blend, done in the grumpy way, guys. Our last time we did a different blend, it sold out extremely quickly. So make sure to be there. It is now available, guys, and yeah, you're going to absolutely love it. All new design on it as well, limited edition artwork on it as well, guys. So make sure to pick that up. And also, I don't think I've mentioned on the Monday show, but we actually have grumpy hats. Grumpy hats in blue and black for sale. On top of all that, next week, Bloke's biggest ever sale is happening. So this is purely just for Bloke stuff. So it's 50 to 60% off everything. All shirts are $25 or under. All hats are $20 and under. Undies, the packet of undies are $25, and all jerseys are under $50. The biggest sale we've ever done. It's next week, Monday, 6 p.m. Make sure to be there, guys. We've never done a sale this big. So I thought, you know what, with the season preview, to celebrate the biggest show of the year, I'd do our biggest ever sale that we've done in the history of Bloke. With that out of the way, let's just get straight into it, shall we? Let's face a bit of music brought to you by our friends over at Sportsbet.
Just before face the music, I just want to announce another sale
okay.
as well.
Okay.
For all the Win, Learn or Draw fans out there, or even if you're not a Win, Learn or Draw fan, my West Tigers podcast, winlearnorddraw.shop. It's gone live today.
Yep.
And if you order now, just in time for Valentine's Day, you'll get the fresh threads. What more could you want for Valentine's Day than one of these ones? We've got like a little embroidered number there. We've also obviously got a bit of a restock of our hats as well, which have been very, very popular. And I'll wear on the preview show, we've got these commemorative 2025 top 16 shirts as well. So if you want to get one of those in time for the first trial, get on as soon as you can.
If you're a big lessons guy, if you're a big take lessons from anything guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you feel like you learned a lot last year, and who didn't from the Tigers, make sure you jump on winlearnorddraw.shop. It's all live to go now. So.
Okay, let's face a bit of music, mate.
Let's do it. So we had Volk. You touched on him a minute ago. What a performance that was for him yesterday. The old dog still got it.
Oh, wow.
38 years old. Like a fine wine.
Hearing the Australian crowd sing Down Under.
Tear to the eye.
That's tear to the eye kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like the commentators, I feel like they needed an Australian on the commentary because they weren't appreciating what was happening around them right there. I couldn't believe it. There was not a single mention of how hectic that walkout was.
Yeah.
It's like, when was the last time you heard a whole crowd singing every word of the song?
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
Chills. It was good. Kind of felt like we got the B team yesterday. No Joe Rogan on the broadcast. It just felt a little bit.
Yeah, it's weird, especially when you're a smaller country and you get commentators that are from a bigger country. Like sometimes you can sit there and go, there's not bias, but you can tell they're not actually appreciating what's happening for the local crowd or the local people, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said it. There.
Something to think about.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
UFC.
Some interesting combinations in the crowd too. Nathan Cleary and Steve Waugh. Interesting stuff.
Mate, you tell you what, it shows you how big footy players are. Cleary looked like a friggin' absolute Adonis.
Yeah.
Huge next to him.
Yeah.
But great combo.
It was a great combo. Good to see. Now, most of us had Volk on points because that's what happened last time, and he worked him out. He fought on his terms, and he got the job done.
Well, most of us had Volk on points because you copied my pick. That's what really happened.
I guess kind of. Like you go first, but I think we're all just kind of smart UFC punters. That's what people come to face the music for, is the UFC betting. So 4 of us had Volk on points at 260. Timmy did go hunting for a bit of value. You went for the Volk knockout, and you also narrowed it down to round 3 as well. Didn't quite get that, but Volk got up. So no points for Timmy there. He did, however, redeem himself, Timmy, in the Men's Australian Open. You had Alcaraz.
King Carlos.
That's right, to go the journey. He actually paid the exact same amount as a Volk by points, $2.60.
We're back.
So well done. You're back on a level playing field there. Kempy and myself, we chased a bit of value. Demonor and Shelton, who both lost.
Well, we're patriots. That's what we are. We love our country.
Well, you're a patriot, and I went for Ben Shelton from America.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm a patriot. I love my country. I'm willing to lose money to love my country.
Yeah,
I'm like, this sell out over here.
And that's exactly what happened. Rue and Matty got close. They had the Joker at 950.
Yep.
Credit to 38 years old as well. Credit where it's due, but no points there. In the women's, none of us had Rabakina, but we'd have Matty and myself had Sabalenka, who got to the final, but unfortunately no points there. So after that weekend, outright, everyone's on $2.60. This week at the end of the show, we've obviously got the SuperBowl next week.
Oh, yeah.
Not only do we have the head-to-head result, but we've got some of the great one of the great novelty betting events, the SuperBowl. You've got the colour of the Gatorade that the coach is going to cop. Will a player cry during the anthem?
Okay.
Some of those sort of markets. So I'll go a little bit off the beaten track, but that's what we'll go with at the end of the show today.
So you want to have a bit of fun? The Super Bowl betting, bit of fun there.
Rams robbed, obviously, unfortunately, but we'll rebuild for next year.
Yeah, okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
That's Face the Music.
Yep.
That's Face the Music, brought to you by Sportsbet, guys. Alrighty, let's get into Code Sports. Story of the week. Mate, introduce yourself, because to the internet recently, you're known as the guy that had Raiders as the 8th best forward back. Introduce yourself to the people.
I've heard it enough, all right? Okay, a slight, I'm not even going to call it a mistake. I stick to my word. 8th best forward pack of the Raiders. Tyson Jackson from Code Sports. Yeah, for those that don't know me, I'm just here to have a good time and talk some footy.
Now, walk us through just quickly the 8th position of the Raiders forward pack, because although you're sticking to it, there's a bit that goes into that decision.
Are you looking forward to watching your first game of rugby league this year?
Oh, wow. Holy.
Look, it did upset a few people, but the way the forward pack rated did work is we broke down in attack, defence, intimidation factor, a whole bunch of things. We broke all those down into scores of 25, which gave an overall score of 100. And yeah, look, I didn't rank anyone first. I did all the scoring first. And for you Raiders fans out there, I'm sorry, but your score just added up to the 8th best in the competition.
Wow.
I'm happy to be proven wrong, though.
Mate, Ricky Stewart might fight you.
Hey, I've spoken to Ricky before. Lovely guy, by the way. I will be having my eyes up in Canberra, but I think your team's great. But look, just the forward pack's the way it stands right now. They're the 8th best in the team, and a lot goes into that. So, look, if you want to read the full reason why, go to Code Sports and have a look.
There's a link there.
Where were the Tigers? Where was their pack?
I think they were below Canberra. So,
really?
yeah, look, and there we go again. Everyone. I've gone in that I'm a Storm fan this week, that I'm a Roosters fan this week. I am a diehard tragic of the West Tigers, and there's no biasness there, no favouritism there. They sat in the bottom half of that list, but they won't be in the bottom 8 or bottom 9 this year. Guarantee you that.
Okay, all right. And who was your number one?
The Roosters.
The Roosters.
They should be. They should be.
The Roosters.
100%
I got a few messages about, why weren't the Roosters messages? Listen, I think the Roosters are a good forward pack, but I don't think they're in the top 3. I don't think they're in the top 3.
Sounds to me like you hate Blake Steep. That's sort of what I'm getting from.
Okay, we can speak about this later, but I just reckon there's a few. I actually have a couple of questions in the Roosters forward pack. Obviously, you got your White and you got your, even Spencer Lenu, club-wise, has been inconsistent at times, but he's had some good moments. Anyway, we'll get to that later. Mate, what's the code story of the week?
This week we're looking at the West Tigers, a bit of movement around the Tigers. Yes, my club. There's no favouritism, I swear. But look, we broke over the weekend that Jack Bird looks to be moving to Leeds. That deal looks to be completely done, and he's going to team up with Brad Arthur over there, which also means he'll potentially play in Vegas, which is a nice little addition for Jack. Look, interrupted for Jack, but there's just so many things that come off the back of Jack leaving. There's an extra spot in the top 30. It also gives them a little bit extra money to work on those deals. We know Jareem Buller is hoping to be kept by the Tigers are hoping to keep Jareem. Also, you've got to look at players that are coming on the market. They can have a couple more depth signings at the end of this year. I think at the end of this year, there's not that much open talent that's going to be available for signing. So they could get another depth player that can replace Jack Bird. But look, it was looking like he wasn't going to be in their top 17 anyway, at least to start the year. So I think this is the right move by the Tigers to let him go find form somewhere else, and for Jack, it's a good option to move to the Super League and try.
Do you know any details? Like, are they topping up at all, or is it just a clean cut? Like,
the details still a bit musky. It's real early days into this. Jack was initially looking to go to the London Broncos. That deal fell over. So the mail that I got was London, when they got relegated, or when they were told they weren't going to be promoted into the Super League, that kind of shut that deal out for Jack, and they weren't going to have the money. The salary cap in the Championship League is significantly lower than the Super League, so that kind of ruled out the deal of Jack moving to the London Broncos. But with Leeds, it's literally got done on Saturday in the morning, and that's when we reported it. So
in regards to Tigers, so obviously that's going to, let's just say 400k or something like that, which could be really the difference between Buller staying and leaving. What is your mail on Buller and how likely he is to stay?
Well, Dream's an interesting one because I spoke to Dream in December, and we'll talk. It was a great chat. good interview. But every time I asked about the Tigers, there was a bit of hesitation there. He didn't really want to give a straight answer. You know, a lot was, that's up to my manager. And that, even talking about how you're feeling about the club, where you're feeling about the club. Dream, I think, would love to stay at the Tigers and be a part of that crew that can take them to that next level and be that fullback there. But obviously, when it comes to a club like the Tigers, who have really not been successful for a very long time, I think Dream's also thinking about his future and his career. I got to speak to Jerome Luai only a week ago, and Jerome pretty much said this is the club for Dream. This is where he belongs, and this is where he needs to be if he wants to be that player that, you know, he's aspiring to be. And that's interesting. Also coming off the back of Jerome Luai's comments, where he pretty much said there's absolutely no way the club does not play in the top 8 this year. And I mean, we've heard it before. We've heard Jerome be confident about this stuff before. But the one thing that separated it this time was he said that it's not just him hoping. It's a belief around the entire playing group, and it's a belief around not just a belief, but hey, we know this is going to happen this year, which is the little difference.
Yeah, okay. If you had to put a number on it, how likely do you think Buller stays? And also, what whispers have you heard? Obviously, we've heard connections to Dragons. Are there any other clubs as well?
Well, the number, I would honestly say right now, from my perspective as a journo, you're hearing things from so many different sides, right? The Tigers are absolutely confident. They've gone and they've told people, and that's been reported, that the Tigers are confident they're going to keep Dream. I've heard that there's potentially going to be an announcement soon in the next couple of weeks. That's all off the Tigers side. When it comes to Dream's side, Dream's a real modest, humble kid, right? And he's not the one that's going to be going around telling people many things. He'll keep it pretty close to chest. The Dragons is one that's been heavily publicised, but the Bulldogs as well. The Bulldogs are in for a fullback at the moment, and they would love Dream Buller. Dream's very close with Lachlan Galvin. They spent
too close, I think.
They spent a lot of time in the off-season training together with the Sprint Guru.
So hang on a sec. So Buller and Galvin were training the off-season together.
Yeah, they're doing sprint training together.
Was that? I mean, you probably don't know these details. Was that just they happened to be? Was Roger Fabry?
Yeah, Roger Fabry.
Was it happened because they're just with him as a coach, or they together went to him? Anyway, you probably wouldn't know.
Well, both are new additions to Roger's kind of clan of players that he has.
Yep.
So the finer details, whether they both said at the same time, hey, let's go, and that I don't really know. But I know that they were regular attendees with Roger during the preseason, and yeah, Dream also said to me in my interview that he had spent a lot of time with Lockie over the off season, which is not saying that he's going to the Bulldogs or anything like that, but obviously that relationship might be able to sway. We've seen these relationships sway things in the past with different clubs and different kind of situations. So who knows?
Has Gus met him yet?
Gus has no idea who he is.
Yeah, that terrifies me even more.
But yeah, I think the Bulldogs, I would be more confident that it's between the Tigers and the Bulldogs rather than the Tigers and the Dragons. But I also thought it was between the Rabbitohs and Parramatta and Clomatungi, and I was wrong on that.
I tell you what, and I love hearing Jerome talk like that, because it shows you that he's taken his position of leadership really seriously about keeping players at the club. Unfortunately, if I had to be honest, I think the Bulldogs are in a far better position to make Buller the best player he can be. And that's just being unbiased. It stings me to stay because I actually want him to stay at the West Tigers. But if the Bulldogs can offer him a decent contract, it's probably, I'm sorry, Bahami, but it is probably better for his career. Like, it's tough to say.
Bad take, Kempy.
What are your thoughts on the situation, mate?
Well, look, I hope he stays. And to echo your points around Jerome and his kind of language, I was like, that's great. You want to that's the reason we kind of got into the club, to get people to buy in and create that kind of culture. So I like that. I like that language. A bit nervous, to your point, when you kind of ask him point blank. There's a bit of deflection and stuff going on there, Not much you can do about that, I suppose. But like if the team starts winning and this season, let's say they look like they're going to be well on track to make the top 8, when it comes to that point, kind of halfway through the season, whenever it is, you might kind of find that, actually I do want to, I'm all in. I want to be part of this. But yeah, I'm a little bit probably nervous that he's not potentially as enthusiastic as people like Jerome and stuff like that. Staying at the club.
I will add to that though. That was in December. Okay. So I've heard that the Tigers weren't as confident in December as they are now, right? So things do obviously change, but also around the attitude and mindset of the club, we've also seen the likes of Royce Hunt drop heaps of weight, right? Heaps of weight, and he looks fit. I think the club as a whole is a lot more enthusiastic on where they are heading compared to what has been said in the past, which has probably kind of been we want to play top 8 type thing to now, we're willing to put in the work and the actions. Would do the job.
Would the Bulldogs because let's say you got offered, I'll just say 900K from the Bulldogs and West Tigers, and I say this respectfully, I think like the decision is pretty easy. Like the Bulldogs, is the Bulldogs offering him, to your understanding, less, and that's what's the kind of question in his mind? You know what I mean? Like I just wonder what's the question in Buller's mind. Is it the fact that, the Bulldogs are closer to a premiership right now, and you could argue who's more likely to develop me better? You could argue Seraldo at this stage of his career. Obviously, Benji's got plenty of time to become what he can become. Yeah, where does the question lie? If let's say that the price was the same, it would seem like the answer would be pretty easy.
Yeah, I completely see where you're coming from, and I think that's to someone or to most that will look at it from the surface front. That is probably clearly the Bulldogs are in a better position the last 2 years. They look to be in that kind of one step away from being real premiership contenders. The Bulldogs though have question marks around their halves. They haven't been sold on their fullback, which is why Dream would be a good option.
Yep.
Their forward pack is still quite small, despite the addition of Leo Thompson. You have Leo Thompson and Max King in there, but they're trying to build a forward pack around workhorses. As a back, these are things, and you'd be able to talk on this, where especially with the forwards, you want a forward pack going forward. You want a dominant forward pack because that's going to allow you to play your best footy off the back of the platform that they set. When you look at the Tigers have built a good forward pack. They weren't great last year, probably a little bit too inexperienced, but now, off the back of Terrell May, Fanua Pole, and I'm hearing Bunty Afoa is tearing their house down at the moment. And I know we hear that out of most clubs around preseason, but the way Jerome spoke about Bunty and the way a couple others around the club spoken about Bunty, it seems like he's on track to be a real kind of dominant force in that club's best 17. But also just the biggest thing that I think the Tigers have going for them, where it might kind of push the Bulldogs, I don't know, maybe it might push Dream more towards the Tigers' way, is all these they've got a lot of young kids coming through, and I know we've said it for a while now, but these kids all are bought into the club. Javon Andrews, I'm hearing massive raps on him, and he could push his way into the halves. You've still got Latu there. Jerome's got a couple of years. I personally, with no bias, think that the Tigers' premiership window is a fair bit bigger at this point in time than what the Bulldogs are, because I thought the Bulldogs have had the last couple of years in and around that window. Maybe three more years for the Bulldogs. I'd say the Tigers, they could push for the 8 this year, but then probably their premiership window starts next year and could last a bit longer than that. So that's where I probably think that the Tigers that's where Dream is kind of balancing up both options.
Do the Bulldogs have money to offer a fullback, 800-900K?
I don't know around that kind of target, but I think as well, like you said before, they're in a better position now, which means they don't have to offer as much. The Tigers are going to realistically, I'm sure they don't see it as overs because they rate Dream quite highly, but to the average rugby league fan, probably the Tigers will have to offer overs to keep Dream at the club. But it's also hard as well because what fullbacks are on the market at the end of this year, if they don't lock down Dream, I know Trey Fuller's an option, and that could potentially happen. I think he will be on the move from the Dolphins, but like who else? Do they do a swap for Connor Tracy almost, but then they lose that kind of spark that Dream brings?
What do you reckon, Amy?
Where he's more likely to end up?
Yep.
I'm very hopeful that he sticks with us. I like your thinking there about the premiership window being a little bit bigger than people might be giving it credit for, and that's kind of coming into his thinking. But I'd like to think that the kind of the brand of the footy that the Tigers are trying to play and all that sort of stuff, would hopefully unlock him and let him kind of show what he can do there. So hopefully stays.
Boys, what do you reckon?
Yeah, well, I was going to ask Hammy as well. I mean, let's say in a situation where Dream Buller does leave, you've got Heath Mason there, who's 20 years old. We've seen him have a few good first-grade appearances. Do you have faith in him that he could step into that role and be the fullback?
I like Heath Mason as a bit of a utility kind of backup guy, but I don't know if fullback's his best spot. I think he even prefers playing in the halves, and he got a crack there once or twice last year as well. He got found out under the high ball a little bit when he was playing at fullback, so I don't know that he would be the long-term solution there. Could play a role if they needed a bit of a transition or whatever, but if we lost Jareem, I think we'd have to go and find an out-and-out fullback to kind of fill that spot. We've got some good outside backs, Macassini, and he's probably more of a centre winger. A couple floating around, but Taruva's played a bit of fullback as well. But yeah, I think you probably have to go and get another out-and-out fullback.
Yeah, I'd love for nothing more than for Dream Buller to stay at the Tigers. Like, I think if you actually want to, I know you two are optimistically talking premiership windows, which has come out of left field.
He was doing it, but I was on board.
Yeah. Let's talk maybe like top 8 for a starting point. And I think if you want to be genuinely looking at top 8 football in coming years, and hopefully this year, to the sediments of Jerome Luai, you need stability in around this spine, because there's been so much movement over the last 15 years, and especially to key players. You need to build it around Jerome Luai, Dream Buller. Appy's getting on a little bit, but has a lot more to offer. Whether it's Latu or the young bloke that you said was coming through that there's big raps on, you need to be building around these guys. And as you said, Dream Buller can be a huge part in taking you to a top 8 position, but if he was to depart, and let's say you miss finals this year and you look at next year and you're building nicely, you finished 9th possibly, I think Heath Mason, you're right, he's a good quality backup. I think if he slots in at fullback at any point, he'll do a job. I think Taruva, he's a centre winger for me. Again, can play fullback, but you need a good ball-playing fullback. And Dream Buller has superstar potential in him. Like, athletically, the growth that he's got in him. So, mate, I really hope the Dream Buller stays with the Tigers. I hope you build around that spine long-term, and he'd be a brilliant fit for the Doggies and what they're creating at the moment, but I want him to stay at the Tigers.
Do you reckon he lands, like, because of market pressure and the fact that there's no fullbacks really on the market, he lands on $1 million?
I think if he comes out and plays to what we know he can do in the first 2 months, then yes. I think, like, right now, like,
because they're already up to around 850, 900K, aren't they?
Yeah, around 850, 900, but I think their thinking will be, I don't think he'll be on $1 million initially.
Yep.
But we're probably looking at, and I hate to say it, we're probably entering Luke Brooks territory where he's going to have a heavy back-end contract.
And a barbecue at the end of it.
Because, like, I think Buller is outstanding, a really good fullback, but he's nowhere near $1 million at this stage of his career.
Put it this way, often you have to pay for potential, and it can backfire. We see it time and time again, and that will continually happen. But as we know, a lot of clubs, the Raiders included, the Tigers, from what they're trying to do. You talk about Kempy, the Bulldogs are a better place for his development around certain people and premiership windows and all this. I think the Tigers are going to probably have to pay overs for him to keep him. And as I said, it can backfire, but if you can get Dream Buller, I think 800 is sort of good for him now. I think that's pretty close to the mark, potentially slightly overs. Let's say you got him on a longer-term contract of sort of 3 to 5 years on $1 million. In 6 months' time, he could easily be $1 million player. He's got that much potential, and then you've locked in for 5 years.
Would you be happy with that? Let's say it's I would say a 3-year deal. First year's 850, second year's $1 million, third year's $1 million. You happy with that?
Yeah, probably happy with that, because that's probably around about what he's on now-ish. Well, that's the sticking point. Wasn't there was an option where he could have taken
900, I think.
900.
Yeah.
And look, I think worst case, let's say he is worth, we've got him about that 850, and you give him $1 million. The salary cap is very large these days. You can tweak things accordingly. It's an extra $150,000 if you are paying a little bit of overs for him. But if he hits the potential that I think we all know he's capable of, you're looking at over $1 million a year player, and you've secured him for 3 years. I don't think it's that bad.
I don't think it's that bad either. I believe the market has kind of forced this situation on the Tigers. And so I wouldn't begrudge the Tigers if they had to. The only thing I would begrudge is a 5-year deal. I think that that's too risky. I think that that's when you really could get into a situation where... Because, like, yes, Buller is good right now, but he's not a top 5 fullback. Where would you put him? Maybe in the top 10? Probably top 10?
Definitely in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to get the list.
Well, I mean, we'll just go quickly. Like, Teddy, Walsh, Edwards, Tom Trbojevic, Scott Drinkwater... you've got so that's just for the top 5.
Sitting at 9-10.
And Drinky up would anyway. So sorry,
Hamiso.
I don't even probably like
AJ Brimson when he's fit. Kinney, obviously. You know what I mean? Like it starts stacking up where you start sitting there going, well, you could slide him in and out of that top 10 and he could be on $1 million. That's why I don't think a 5-year deal I just don't think a 5-year deal is good for anyone because right now, yes, he's worth about, on the open market, if everyone was available at like 750 or whatever. However, I understand having to push all the way up to 900K, maybe $1 million on a shorter term deal because I agree with you, he could be worth $1 million.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen that yet. And that's why I don't like a 5-year deal.
And as I said, say they were to do it, there's risk involved in it. I feel like with Dream Bullet, it could be a risk worth taking.
Yeah, well, again, it's just a length. Like if, let's say he signs a 900K, a mil, 3-year deal, I can be like, okay, you can work with that. Even if he just plays, even if he doesn't hit his potential and keeps playing the way he is, he's going to be better than anyone you have right now and also better than anyone you can sign right now as well. That's the key.
If they can get that 900 to $1 million for 3 years, perfect.
I didn't good. Yeah, it's still a little bit overs. However, you paid a bit of a tax to keep him at the club. You looked at what was on the market. And also you're not locked into, this 4th and 5th year when you've probably got some young guy that was 16 when that first deal was signed and now he's putting pressure, but you can't get rid of Buller because he's on $1 million. So it's just really the length of the deal that I reckon I'd be focused on as Tigers.
The salary cap will probably also be larger towards the end of his deal as well. We're looking at new TV rights deals and things like that in the coming years, which will mean the salary cap will grow. So you're also looking at ratchet clauses. And again, even if without ratchet clauses, there's the opportunity that, if the salary cap grows and you've given him a bit extra now, you might be good for it in the long run. Let's say it is for instance, a 5-year deal. I think Dream still definitely has 5 of the best in front of him. So
absolutely. Yeah, age is not an issue. It's more just that long-term big deals. Geez, I feel like if you're getting a 5-year deal, $1 million a year, you got to be a rep player.
Well, yeah, and so much of what we said about Buller is what we talk about his athleticism. That's the exact kind of thing where in 5 years' time, if he's had a few injuries, that's going to be a bit more of a weakness than a strength. So that's where clubs can get locked in.
Yeah, so I don't begrudge the Tigers at all if they do end up on that 900K mark. I get it. I totally get it. I would probably make that play. It's just the length that I would try to keep a bit shorter. But yeah, geez, that's so much money. Holy shit. Good on him if he can get it. All right, that's the Code Sports story of the week. Go to codesports.com.au/bloke. Get your discount for the year, guys. Got a few messages over the weekend, actually, asking for the code. So go to codesports.com.au/bloke. Use the discount. Mate, thanks so much for joining us. Do you have an Instagram there?
Yeah.
And are you public-facing Instagram, or are you one of those private people?
It is private. It's private.
Okay. Don't give it out, then. Don't give it out. Mate, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And maybe we'll see you next week.
Maybe.
Go Tigers.
Thank you. Alrighty, it is time for the KO can't miss moment, and I think we all know what the KO can't miss moment was. Is Alex Volkanovski beats Diego Lopes in the rematch. To watch every game of NRL this season, 2026, you simply have to use KO Sports. Sign up today. What an incredible performance. I feel like, I spoke about it a little bit earlier, but I feel like because it was American commentators, they weren't really giving the moment what it deserved. Obviously they were stoked that he won and how great he is, and he's the greatest. He's equal to Jose Aldo for the most title wins in 8. But it's like, hang on a sec. He's the oldest bloke on the card. He's 37 years old, maybe even 37 years old, and he's just defeated another number 1 contender, or at the very least close to a number 1 contender, depending on who you thought should have got the shot next. I know he's already beaten him, but he's just done it in his hometown. And I just feel like the moment didn't get the love. And I understand the fight wasn't necessarily a barn burner. It was almost a repeat of the last fight. I get all that, but I just feel like there's this sense of we're so used to Volkanovski doing great things that we're not actually taking into consideration he's 37 years old. Basically, there's a stat in the UFC, especially the lighter divisions. As soon as you hit 35, you're done, pretty much. Basically, there's one person, or maybe not even one person, that after 35 years old, there hasn't been essentially a single person that's defended their belt. Volk's done it multiple times now, and he's way past 35 years old. And I just, he's nearly 40. He's nearly 40, and he just did that. It's unbelievable. And he did it. It's a really good lesson, especially for young athletes. Obviously, Volk is an athletic person. He's an athletic person. However, he's doing it with his fight IQ, how smart he is in the ring, his footwork, his ability to read people, his ability to change game plans. Heading into the fight, everyone was saying Diego Lopes needs to just cut off the ring. And so what happened last time is he was circling away from Diego Lopes' power hand, which is the conservative thing to do. You're supposed to circle away from someone's power hand. However, Diego Lopes obviously worked on it. So Volk, as soon as this fight started, he circled away from his power hand. Lopes cut him off. So what did Volk do? He just said, okay, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to go the other way, circle into his power hand, which you're always told not to do, and completely dominated the fight. And then throwing in those takedowns too. I know that he didn't actually land the takedowns, but it's not actually about that. If you throw in takedowns, it's why guys like Khabib and Islam Makhachev are so sometimes get like drop people with their hands, is because fighting a stand-up fighter that just throws hands, you might be, let's say you've got a guy and his hands are 9 out of 10, but he only throws hands. And then you've got a guy who hands a 7 out of 10, but he's a great wrestler. Sometimes it's hard to stand up against a 7 out of 10 hands guy because you've got to worry about the takedown constantly. So you've got to be light on your feet. You've got to be ready to sprawl. Your footwork's all different. Everything changes. And so Volkanovski's game plan to just throw in a takedown here or there, and in the corner you heard Lopes say to his trainer, I'm pretty sure I need to worry about his takedowns just because he felt Volk's strength. It was a masterclass. It was an absolute masterclass. And this is how good Volk is. He's 37, and the guy that he faces next, which I think is Mosfer or something like that, it most likely will be him. Like, I think Volk will probably still go into that fight as a favourite. Like, it's insane what he's doing right now. Absolutely insane. But he's so great. We're just sitting there going, oh, yeah, Volk, another win. How good. It's incredible. And to do, like, think about the pressure heading into that. You go there as essentially the featherweight goat in your hometown, and you know, all the negative thoughts could be running through your head, getting knocked out, everything like that. He walked out singing. And shout out to the people singing. Shout out to the people singing that whole song. It is incredible. I don't think it's getting the raps it deserves. It's absolutely amazing. And it's not getting the raps probably because Diego Lopes' performance was so poor. But his performance was so poor is because Volkanovski is so good. His footwork against people that don't have footwork is just too good. He constantly makes them reset. So even if they do have range, he's controlling the range with his footwork. It's incredible what he's doing. And I think he's at such a level, such a high level, that I think there's a lot of people that watch it randomly on the weekend. They're not actually understanding he might be one of the smartest fighters to ever fight in the UFC. You know, GSP, there's some other guys in. So but you can make an argument that Volkanovski is one of the smartest, highest fight IQs we've seen in the MMA. And he's just, what he did on the weekend was absolutely incredible. How many thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I thought he was very impressive. Obviously, friend of the show. He did a bit of content with us last week as well. He's a great man, Volk, and good to see another belt defence. I thought he might have win one in my hometown.
I would have loved it.
That might do me. And when all the family came into the octagon at the end, I thought, here we go, maybe. But he was like, no. Yeah, sweet. All right, who's next? Let's go again. So I guess we're going again, which will be exciting. Will that be on the lawn at the White House?
Well,
that next one?
That's the only thing, because he got asked about basically who's next.
Yeah.
And usually he's pretty firm of like this guy, whatever. And he works with the UFC. But he went to say something like on the mic, and then he was like, well, we'll see what happens. What happens. That suggests there's something else going on there, and I think it might be the White House fight. I think that, it's, regardless of what's happening in America right now, like it's still going to be a monumental event. And so if he is going to go again, just because of that, I can understand that. Monumental, whatever happens, whatever. However, as a selfish Volk fan that wants him to go out as respected as possible, I want him to just go, hang the gloves up. Thanks for coming, guys. Yeah. I'm the GOAT. See you later.
Yeah. Well, he was very impressive yesterday. But pretty much, as you mentioned, he kind of put on a similar but different clinic to the previous one. Made a lot of adjustments. That he talked on that a lot after the fight as well. That his opponent Lopes had worked on some stuff, but he was able to on the fly kind of work it out in the octagon.
Well, he said before the fight, and you can actually go back and watch that. So basically, he said everyone's saying Lopes is going to work on cutting off the ring in his footwork, and Volkanovski pretty much said, I don't think he has good enough footwork to handle me. I don't think he is good enough with his footwork to be able to take care of me. So like before the fight had even happened, Volk had already called his footwork's not going to be good enough to cut me off. And he was absolutely right.
Yeah. So most of the fight was basically or pretty much the whole fight was on his terms. At the end, Lopes kind of was like, all right, I need to probably finish it off. He tried some stuff at the end. And how about the shot of Volk just sitting on top of his face, teabagging?
Good old-fashioned teabag.
How good was that? I thought he might have let one rip and just gone for the knockout.
Technical warfare, you reckon?
Yeah. But it was, such an impressive. And he kind of, in that last 15, 20 seconds, you really gave it to him.
Yeah.
Just for a bit of just for the crowd there. But, he's so well loved and all that sort of stuff, so he can really go out whenever he wants to.
Yeah.
But I wondered whether maybe the Sydney fight at home might have been.
There's a bit of a fairy tale vibe to it, get the W. But listen, it was incredible. He is just, as I said, one of the smartest fighters we've ever seen, and his footwork, like people always wonder, like how the hell He's so not so small for the weight division, but he's fighting guys that are essentially like 5'10", 5'11". He's 5'6", and yet he's the one that's always controlling the range. And the only way he can do that is because he's constantly making fighters reset their, if you're fighting or boxing or whatever, or standing up in combat sport, you've got a lane that you can throw punches in. And what Volk does is that he always gets out of that lane, and his lane is facing you, but you're still facing away where he was. And so what happens is then you have to reset your footwork again to go, okay, now he's in my lane. But as you do that, he's in another lane. And then, or if you come in, he stepped off to the side and he's just literally drawing you into a massive right hand, which we saw quite a few times. It is a masterclass in footwork. I don't think you understand how. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So that's the KO can't miss moment. Alex Volkanovski, absolute goat, equaling Jose Aldo. Think about this. So a lot of people had Aldo as the featherweight goat, and it was undisputed almost. He's got the same amount of title wins in the same division, but the sport has progressed 20 years. So everyone has gotten better. When Aldo did it, not to discredit him at all, because I still think he's one of the GOATs, he's incredible. But when Aldo did it, the sport was half the size that it is now. Maybe even less than that. The sport has progressed so much still since then, and he's equaled his title wins. It's absolutely insane. And also, he's got a win over Aldo, 3 wins over Max Holloway, who a lot of people thought was the featherweight GOAT at the time. It's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Volkanovski here is our KO can't miss moment. Absolutely mental stuff. As I said, I feel like the commentators weren't really giving the dues of what had just happened to a champion at 37 years old had just come back to his hometown essentially and defended the belt against essentially the number 1 contender. That is fairy tale stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got to say, seeing a 37-year-old perform like that has me very confident for Cherry Evans coming into this season. Potentially, could be a similar kind of fairy tale storyline there. Underdog story, Roosters premiership.
Yeah, okay. The only problem is he's not defending a premiership or a championship.
Well, details. That's the sort of stuff. We don't really get caught up in the weeds there. But no, it was great. I'm not into the UFC whatsoever, but seeing the crowd all singing together was a very Australian kind of moment.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that I think everyone that watched, and certainly the people that were there, won't ever forget. So it was really good to see.
So good. Alrighty, on to the next topic. And basically, it's Leaguey. You know what? We'll do Lontel. Lontel, best internet in all the land, guys. It's Leaguey's little segment, because you had something to say about the Zach Lomax stuff. So this is powered by Lontel, guys. If you need internet for your business, they are the best in the business. We've got it here. It's changed our lives. Lontel.net.au/bloke to get your $25 credit. 7-day free trial, no credit card needed, no contract. Give it a try, see how it goes. The best customer service. If you've got any questions, just give them a call. They will help you. You don't sit on the phone for 2 hours waiting for someone to speak to you, and then they don't even know how to speak to you about what you're talking about, what you need. Lontel are the best in the business, guys. If you need internet, support people that support us. Leaguey, so you got some extra bits from a lawyer's perspective, or at least a potential lawyer's perspective, in regards to the Lomax situation.
Yes. So, I mean, I know the Lomax story is very overdone. I'm sure a lot of people are sick of hearing about it, but there's a few details about it from a legal perspective that really haven't been spoken about, and it has shocked me because they are very, very interesting. So everyone sort of has an understanding that the main issue is that it's about whether or not it's a restraint on trade. Now, in New South Wales, a restraint on trade is valid unless it's against public policy, which this isn't really concerning. It's more to do with private parties. The other thing is that Parramatta would be able to argue that they have a legitimate business interest in preventing Lomax from playing for another team. So as far as I'm concerned, I think it's difficult to argue that it is a restraint on trade. But if it is ruled to be an illegal restraint on trade and the non-compete is invalid, this is where things get really interesting. Because in contract law, if one clause is invalid, what the courts will try and do is sever that clause from the rest of the contract and see if the contract can stand up without that clause. In this instance, though, it was so central to the agreement that they came to that it would be a non-severable clause. Parramatta literally wouldn't have agreed to the contract if that non-compete wasn't in there, as shown by the way they've behaved since it became a legal issue. So what that would mean is that that one clause is invalid and the rest of the contract becomes invalid. So Lomax's exit clause wouldn't be valid, and legally he would have never actually left the Parramatta Eels.
Oh, wow.
It's almost a worse situation for everyone, because he obviously wants to leave Parramatta.
Yep.
Parramatta don't want him on their books anymore. They've probably made moves with their salary cap as well, knowing that he's gone. So for this to be going to a court with I think it's probably the likely outcome that the court says the exit contract maybe wasn't valid. At least, well, that's what Lomax's team will argue.
Yep.
I think that's a part that really should be spoken about more, because I don't know what their team could want, Lomax's team.
Wow. So for a strain of trade, my understanding is that, and again, this is any lawyers listening, and obviously yourself, you're going to like slap your head. But basically, this happens in a lot of industry if you're considered almost like a specialist in what you do. So if you earn... Now, I think the government's trying to introduce, if you're on 175K and less, you cannot sign a no-compete clause because you're not considered a specialist in what you do, and it's not going to harm the business if you leave. The thing with Lomax, though, is he is far exceeding the 175K, because that seems like what, if you went to a court, maybe that's the kind of, I guess, the bar they want to hit. So even in a normal business, like this is NRL, so you always think of things act differently. But even if there was a guy in a normal business that said, okay, I've been at this business and I get paid, we'll just say $500,000, they would have to sign most likely a non-compete clause. And what that would mean is that if they choose to leave, they cannot join another business in that industry usually. So this idea that it is not normal for people to sign non-compete clauses is nonsense. A lot of specialists that get paid a lot of money, like CEOs or whatever, they all sign non-compete clauses, because basically from a business perspective, you're looking at it like this. You're going, okay, let's say we've got all these methods and all these things we do that made our business great. And, we've paid you all this money and we've built you up and you're the CEO or whatever. And then someone comes along and offers you more money, and you take those same business assets or ideas that we have and you go to them, and all of a sudden all this investment we've put into you and all this time and money, it's worth nothing now. It's $0. It's actually going to hurt us. And so the idea that this is a unique situation, it's actually not when it comes to people that are specialists or whatever. I'd love you to get your thoughts.
Yeah, no, that's completely right. And then, NRL players in general would probably be considered specialists, but a player of his caliber certainly would be. It would be easy to argue if he was able to say there's 100 other guys in the NRL who are my level. I'm not that much of a specialist, but he's literally, origin level. So I think it's very, very clear that he's a specialist, certainly. And a court as well, and this is another key thing, will give a lot of weight to the fact that he did sign the agreement. Like that's not something that they'll be ignoring. So, and
he pushed for it too. So he wasn't under duress or anything like that.
The terms were very clear. He was clear about what he wanted to do, where he wanted to go, and it wasn't go to the Melbourne Storm. So we're not going to see the contract, but I'd love to see the contract, because I really struggle to think what Lomax's team think they're going to get out of this. I don't see how it ends well for them.
The only thing I can think that Lomax team is going, let's just put so much pressure on them. They're going to sit there and make the call of, do we want to be in the papers for 2 years and also spend a bunch of money just to stop a bloke from playing for someone else? Like, I think that's where their lawyers are coming from. That it's almost like a game of chicken. Like their lawyers, and look, I don't know this at all. I'm just assuming maybe internally already kind of know they're not going to win the court case. However, what they do know is the Eels gain essentially nothing right now, at least, if they go into court. Like, they gain nothing. All the Eels are doing right now is either holding out for a better offer from someone else. Hasn't been any connection there. And also Lomax would have to agree to that, because the RLPA has been very clear on that. Outside of that, let's say there's no one else that wants Lomax, and Lomax doesn't want to go to anyone else but the Storm, and the Storm have finished. That's their final offer. The Eels actually gain nothing from this other than letting other managers know and setting a standard to the NRL of, like, we will not be pushed over.
Yeah, no, and that is the tricky thing. They are certainly holding out, and it was interesting to hear that meeting of the club bosses the other day, where the vast majority of other teams are very supportive, which I think makes a lot of sense. And as you guys have rightly said, look, if it was to go to another team who are trying to get into the finals, this would probably be less of a big story. But just the fact that it is Melbourne, that from an outside looking in, they should have a lot to offer, and they seem to be offering so little. It is really frustrating to see, but I don't think anyone's really happy in this entire legal issue.
So you think there's a real world where the court goes, all right, that contract's null and void, however, you're now with the Eels?
Well, that's what it would be. It would revert to the last agreement that they had. If the exit contract doesn't exist, yeah, he's still a Parramatta Eel.
Wow.
Which it's bizarre to think about, but from a contract perspective, that's exactly what would happen.
Holy. So basically, the only way this gets sorted is if there is some kind of settlement between...
Yeah, they have to come to an agreement.
Yeah.
They have to agree either, to re-clarify the terms of the exit contract, or come to a new exit contract. But it's been handled so poorly. Look, to be fair, I think Parramatta legally were probably sound, and they just didn't think that Lomax would fight it like this. But yeah,
Wow.
This is commonplace. I really don't see how there's been this much of a misunderstanding about it.
Wow.
So there's still a chance Zach Lomax could be the 2026 Ken Thornett medalist.
Have we got odds on that?
No, we don't. I get suspended at the moment. Watch this space.
Oh, could you imagine then the NRL will be sitting there going, okay, we have to do salary cap suspension, and then all
Like, there's so much.
There was just
There's so
massive
much
fallout from
could
that.
play out.
Yeah, wow. Okay, super interesting. Well, that was Leaguey's legal liaison brought to you by Lontel. There you go, on the spot. Lontel.au/bloke. Super interesting. Love that. We'll see what happens, I guess. We'll see what happens. I think if it gets to 12 months, you'll find that they'll either get a deal from someone else or they would have. I just think that right now the Eels are going, okay, what is actually practically good for our business? It's holding out to get as much as we can for Lomax. I think that's probably what they're doing. I don't think, if let's say you said to the Eels, the next 4 years you get nothing for Lomax, literally nothing, I think they go, you know what, stuff it, see ya. Because, like, again, I know that there's all about, setting precedents and standing up and everything like that. That's all well and good, but the last thing you want as a club is a distraction off the field, constantly about this legal battle with an ex-player. And also, I feel like, let's say that a deal gets done, I feel like the Eels have done enough and dug their heels in enough where I think a lot of fans, and I'd love the Eels fans' comments in the comments section, done enough where I think Eels fans go, you know what, you did enough. They'll probably put the blame on the other party, which is understandable and probably correct. You fought hard. There's no point in dragging this out. Let's just move on, kind of thing. I think that's probably what's happening at the moment. Alrighty, it's time now for the Aspley Mazda Service of the Week, proudly brought to you by Luke Camilleri. Give him a follow, LDC_01, the car man, the number one car man in the country. If you need cars, give him a message. He'll take care of you. Plus, we have a huge X sale. Buy any CX3 or CX5 from Aspley Mazda's X rental sale, and one lucky person will be gifted a truly unique experience, a day at the footy in a corporate suite with ex-NRL legends Alex Glenn, Jarrell Yahi, and I'll also be there. It's hosted by Lukey, the car man, absolute legend. 2024 CX5 G20 Max is 32844 drive away, and the 2024 CX3 Pure is 27385 drive away. And I got Lukey. How you going, brother?
Good, mate. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Thanks, mate. And how was the break?
Yeah, really good, mate. I know you gave me a few little plugs about going fishing every day, but no, it's been good. Refreshed. The team have done well. I'm ready to rip in, mate.
What do you reckon you're better at, helping people with cars or fishing?
It'd be tough. It's close. It's close. Pretty handy with the rod, mate, I can tell you.
Now, the service of the week is Dream Buller. Now, it's reported that 2 contracts have been offered to him, which is... It was weird how it was all worded. It's almost like, usually it's just like, oh, we've made multiple offers, but they're like specifically 2 contracts have been given. First of all, mate, the Dragons have been linked to Buller. I'd love to get your thoughts. Gutho, he's, such a safe fullback. Yes, he is a little bit older, but I thought he's been quite good since he arrived at the club, mate. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Gutho's good, and he's given massive direction, as you can see. But, you look, 7 seasons in a row, still out of the top 8. So even with Gutho there, he is safe. But I just think long-term there needs to be probably some form of injection of some youth and a little bit more flair, and I'm sure there's room for Gutho still somewhere in the 17.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Like, if you're talking about, it's very easy to say, Gutho is probably... you could argue he's probably a better fullback even right now than Buller, but at the very least, he's got a better career. You could argue he's safer. But it's a good point you make. Like, it is 7 years, not in the 8. Like, at some point, if you're not making the 8, you've just got to make some tough calls. And I agree with you, mate. I think Gutho could play multiple positions. I know there's the whole joke about centre or whatever, but he actually could be a solid centre at in the NRL level. Are you, in regards to service, are you happy with the service the recruitment officers have provided the Dragons in the off-season, mate?
Yeah, I think it's been good, Denon, to be honest. I think there's been some good talks and some good plays and, some good movement there moving forward. And I think something had to come, So I think the team have done a pretty good job in getting probably some youth there and backing the juniors. I think for the last couple of years in a row, there's been some youngsters come through that are getting their time to shine now. They just need a couple more, and I think they're doing the right thing to get them there. So, I'm pretty happy.
Thoughts on the Keon signing?
Great. Fantastic. Yeah. I just think that what he will offer as far as depth, leadership goes, and I want to be there, will really give a shot in the arm for the rest of the team.
Mate, in regards to the sale, walk us through the sale because it is one of the great all-time sales in regards to what you're offering. Walk us through the sale currently going on at Aspley Mazda.
Well, it's going to get better today because I have got a little extension to this. So it's X rentals. So CX3, CX5, they're under a year old. They've done under 15,000 Ks, most of them. They're like brand new. But currently, you did mention the price before, but I have reduced that price for bloke members at 26.5 drive away for CX3 and 31.5 drive away for CX5. Only for bloke members.
Wow.
I've got to mention bloke. So the community deserves to be granted with something like this. So these cars are just the best. That sale is going crazy, and I've got plenty of stock still there. So make sure that the members jump on and take advantage of it because it's an absolute ripper.
Wow. I didn't even know that was happening just then. That's news to me.
It just
That's
happened
news
live
to
this
me.
morning, mate. It's live.
Mate, that is unbelievable. Mate, thank you so much for joining us. As always, thanks for partnering with the show and supporting the show. We appreciate it. And, mate, I've got to get up soon. Do a little photo shoot with me, Alex Glenn, Latrell Mitchell, surely.
I look forward to it. And this year, as the great Alex Volkanovski said, with you, the Dragons to win the premiership this year. So I think you should come and visit me soon and celebrate this.
Oh, my God. Wow. Look, I know we're mates and you're a great bloke, but I can't go with you down that path. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry.
Fair, mate. That's fair.
Oh, that's so good, mate. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, brother. I really do appreciate it. And we'll probably see you next week or the week after, mate.
I look forward to it. Thank you, boys.
Alrighty, guys. The Vegas time slots have been announced. This is brought to you by Grumpy Coffee. Got the sale, guys, today. Grumpy Coffee. Valentine's Day. It's called the Disappointment Blend. At least the coffee won't disappoint you this year.
What's on the artwork, the custom artwork?
It's dead flowers.
Oh, nice.
Dead flowers.
Beautiful.
They're
I mean, if it wasn't a Valentine's thing, I'd be inclined to get that for my parents because when they think disappointment, that's me. But.
Yeah, same. No, joking. Okay, the times: Hull versus Leeds, 11 a.m. This is in Australian. Australian time. Knights versus Cowboys, 1:15 p.m. Bulldogs versus Dragons, 3:30 p.m. Well, I will say there's been a lot of talk about the 4 games, whatever. And look, whether it was a Super League game or the women's game or whatever, I think this is a smart decision, man. Like I was over there last year. We were over there last year. The 4 games was way too much. And look, I don't think it was the girls' fault, the women's game's fault. It was who they were matched up against that made it just it just dragged the energy out of everything because it was worse than a training run. Like it was genuinely worse than a training run. And that's not the Australian girls' fault. Like they can only play who's in front of them. I just, for the life of me, would never understand why it wasn't Australia versus New Zealand or something like that, where it was competitive, interesting. So, and look, I get from a perspective, okay, we're trying to show the game to the world. You could argue having an English team, there's going to be more people travelling from England, therefore the revenue is going to be more. I would say the argument against that, though, is that, with the fact of women's sport growing, maybe that is the avenue into America is via the women or something like that. However, I can understand. I will say, being at the stadium last year as well, like the English fans were a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Huge part of it. So although it sucks in regards to, giving as many people as possible an opportunity, 3 games is absolutely the maximum. I could even go 2 games.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But I agree with keeping a Super League game involved as well because to your point of all the energy through the week, the energy in the stadium on the day and stuff as well, they really did bring something. I wonder whether maybe you could even put the Super League game between the 2 NRL games as well, just to keep the energy in the stadium. I know then you're getting an NRL game at 11 a.m. our time, but I'm pretty sure UK time, that Hull Leeds game is at midnight. So
really?
It's at a
So
tough...
it purely is for the fans coming out, really?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I think you're right. 3 feels about right. Even at Magic Round and stuff, you get 3 games maximum in a day. Otherwise, you get burnt out as a fan. So,
but there's something magical about that Caxton Street, though. There's something that just gives you that extra, whereas Vegas is a little bit different. But you're right, though, yeah. If you're watching 3 games, you are Dunskies after that.
Yeah, it's unreal, isn't it? The 3 games are spot on. As you said, you summed it up well, Kempy. It was just the nature of the women's game last year that it was like 100-6 or something.
So bad.
Yeah, it was like they missed the opposition. It should have been the Kiwis there, especially with the Warriors playing as well and the travelling Kiwi fans. But 3 games is enough. And I love as you said, being there last year, the energy the Pommies brought, the fans. They're such a huge part of this event. And again, you're promoting it, the Pommy side of things as well, and in your Super League, it's easy for us to be sort of focused on promoting the NRL and all of that, but the English are in it as well. So I think it's fantastic, and the back-to-back NRL games, it's exciting.
Oh, cannot wait. Cannot wait. Lee, thoughts, mate?
Yeah, it keeps it fresh. I mean, this is year 3 of, I think, a 5-year commitment. So still 2 more beyond this. I think they do sort of need to do a bit of a different thing every year to get the excitement back up. It's already dying just a little bit compared to the initial couple of years. So it's positive change. Not gonna go out too long. I will say about the English women's team. It was very, very tough to watch, but it's hard almost to judge how good they're going to be heading into that game because they were a side who would play against like France and stuff and beat them 100-0. So they'd had a heap of good results coming into it. I think probably the organisers were a little bit surprised that the Blout was that big. But
ironically, it just shows you, given the women enough resources and opportunity, this is how much they can be better than other people without resources and opportunity. Like England, like they don't have anywhere near the resources Australian rugby league women have, and it looked like women versus girls.
Yeah,
respectfully,
it did. I mean, I listened to an interview with the England women's coach after that game, and he was like, "There's a reality check. This shows how far we need to go still in terms of investment and all that stuff." So, I mean, tough way to learn a lesson. Not the platform you want to learn a lesson on in Vegas, but is what it is.
I love it. 3 games, absolutely the most. Absolutely the most that you can do. Powered by 4-Wheel Drive Outdoor Supercentre. 4-Wheel Drive Supercentre is an Australian-owned family business that started to make off-road camping affordable for everyone. How do they do this? They do it at wholesale prices. Their website will be in the show notes. But go to 4wheeldrivesupercentre.com.au. So the number 4, WD, Super, SUPA, centre.com.au. You'll see many different products, including 12-volt camping setups, which are batteries and gear associated with them, and fridges/freezers, which are the same product. They just do both depending on the temperatures you set them to. There are so many more products, including lithium batteries, vehicle drawers, swags, camping gear, plus more. Not only that, they have constant sales and bundle deals for many of their products. It's a complete disruption to the off-road and camping industry, bringing overpriced products down, and the winner here is you. Get behind this Australian-owned business, family business. They do their own R&D and testing in Queensland, Australia, to ensure products meet the specs we expect and are fit for Aussie market. The link is in the show notes. If you need anything camping or outdoors related, 4-Wheel Drive Supercentre is for you, because seriously, these are unbelievable. Cam Smith in Broncos colours, boys. You saw the image. Look,
AI.
Holy. AI slop, you reckon?
Bit of AI slop.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so strange. It feels so weird, but also I just wonder, if Cam Smith getting more into like leadership roles and coaching roles, is it his way of, now he lives in Queensland, so that's, a big reason for it. Like, I understand why Storm fans are upset. He's your club's greatest ever player. He's the greatest ever player to essentially exist. But it's at the same time, at some point, he's got to work, like got to have a job. Like, you can't, if you want to do, multiple days a week, you can't be flying down to Melbourne away from your family all the time, especially when you spent 20 years away from your family a lot of the time playing footy. And I get it. Like, if it was a Broncos great, like Darren Lockyer in a Melbourne Storm kit, that initial image would sting me. So I'm not pretending like it wouldn't sting me. But I just think that, maybe there is a world where Smithy's on, okay, I want to get into coaching. Madge is, his resume is unbelievable. Let me get my legs under my feet at the Broncos, at a club with all this talent, and then who knows to go from there. So that might be an avenue that he's looking at. But in regards to their next 9's coming through and all the players, talent's never been an issue with that squad. It's just about getting them the best footy knowledge possible. Like, you can't get any better than Cam Smith. You just can't. Crazy. League, I'd love to get your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, it was bizarre to see. I mean, it was only about a week before that we saw Jared Croker in Manly colours, and I hadn't emotionally recovered from that. Timmy, it would be a lot worse for you. So we live, I think I commented on your post about it, we live in an alternate timeline. I'm convinced that this isn't the main thread of time that we're supposed to be in. It was so weird. But what you say is completely correct about the coaching and all that. It's a good system to sort of learn in, and he is so synonymous with the Storm. Obviously, Bellamy towards the end of his career, maybe he's thinking, I'll just learn a little bit in another system and then take what I've learned at the Broncos, premiership winning team, and potentially bring it to Melbourne Storm.
That's what I mean. Like, that Madge was at the Storm. That's where they would have known each other. The Ryle situation, he was supposed to be after bellyache, but obviously it doesn't look like that's probably going to happen unless he, leaves in a few years. Whereas, Smithy, and again, this guys, we are deep in speculation land here. We've got no, but 3 years at a juggernaut club like the Broncos, and then, Bellamy hangs up after 27 or 28 or whatever, makes a lot of sense. Timmy, thoughts, mate?
Yeah, as a proud New South Welshman, it makes me crook to see Cam Smith working with the Brisbane Broncos, who are coming off a premiership, because it's terrifying to see what they could achieve with a bloke like him there with his experience and knowledge. But I think, mate, the what I see from this is, one of the best players to ever play NRL, and he's going to a club with some of the most promising number 9s in the competition, number 1 Blake Moser, and we don't know his exact role at the club just yet, but the hooking position in the NRL for me is one that there's some very good number 9s, and like Harry Grant is a gold standard, and there's not really anyone like him in my opinion, but I think it's probably one of the weaker positions in the game where it drops off pretty quickly, and from the sort of top 2, 3, 4 to the rest of the competition. So when you have Cam Smith and his knowledge involved in whether it is just one club, but helping the likes of Corey Pakes, Blake Moser, Billy Walters is sort of makeshift, turned into a hooker in recent years sort of thing. I think it's an awesome thing for the game, and to have him involved, we know he does his commentary and his stuff with networks, but to be involved properly in the game, developing the next generation of number 9s, and he'll be working, I'd imagine, with all the really good development and junior talent coming through as well in the Broncos system and in the Queensland system in general. So I think it's awesome for the game to have him, back involved. Not to say back involved, but in the game.
Yeah, I agree with you in regards to like what's better for rugby league. It is him coaching. Obviously if he wants to. Shout out to his son's under 15s team. Might be under 16s now. The Eagles, Currumbin Eagles. Great. I mean, getting coached by the great Cam Smith. Imagine being an opposing coach and you got your under 15s rolling out, and Cam Smith's across the field from you, just going, oh fuck. Sorry.
You have to use your bench well, wouldn't you? Those rotations, right? Do you get any? Just on the Smithy, I think you guys have covered it off pretty well. But do you get a little bit of a bit emotional looking at him in Broncos colours and just thinking what could have been?
Yeah, absolutely. It's he is the one that got away.
Yeah,
he's the white buffalo, baby.
Yeah.
Is it the white buffalo?
Well, if you got him, I have no idea about the white buffalo reference.
Isn't it off a movie, Hot Tub or something like that? The white buffalo.
I'll
movie
Google it.
Yeah. Real ones will know. Real ones will know.
If you had Cameron Smith for 20 years, or however long he played, how many premierships?
Him in Lockyer.
How many premierships in that period?
Holy shit.
Well, shout out Andrew McCulloch. He did a solid job.
No disrespect to Andrew McCulloch.
PJ Marsh.
Yeah, PJ Marsh.
The great PJ Marsh.
Honestly.
Mate, yeah. Look, I'm just stoked. Probably five. Him and Lockyer, and then we didn't lose Billy Slater either, so we get him at the fullback and good to go.
A white buffalo, by the way, is an exceptionally rare sacred American bison, often possessing white fur due to genetic conditions like albinism or leucism.
There you go. Metaphor fit,
so
analogy fit.
doesn't it?
It's like when Guru has a good take, it's a white buffalo.
Yes.
That work? Yeah.
Yes.
Got it.
So look, Cam Smith in the Broncos colours. I mean, Moser. If you're Moser's, parents or his manager or anyone close to Moser, you must just be going, mate. I want you in Cam Smith's pocket so much that he hates your guts because he's like, leave me alone, young man. Anything you can learn off him is going to be absolutely vital. I mean, but even, obviously I'm really excited about Moser. Like I'm really excited, all that good stuff. I might be more excited for Reece Walsh. Imagine the knowledge Cam Smith can give. Like, yes, obviously as a 9, you're going to know the most about being a 9. We're talking about Cam Smith here. Like he would know so much about ruck recognition, ruck involvement that he can pass on to Walshy.
He'll teach him to when to inject himself into the game, when the time is right. Because at the moment, Reece Walsh is trying to involve himself in everything, and that's fine and it pays off. But at some point, it has to ease off a little bit or just learn to pick and choose his times. And, coaches will put in defensive methods to shut him down. And it's like, all right, mate, time and place. Yep. Smithy for that will be phenomenal.
Oh, and even defence on his own try line. Like all these little parts he's going to be, here's a little cheat code here, here's a little cheat code there. I mean,
it's a very similar vibe, I think, to how I feel doing podcasts with Tim Williams. Just all the little intricacies that a lot of people don't notice.
Oh my
what not
to do. So yeah, look, I understand why Storms fans will be stinging. I really do get it. But he's lived in Queensland for a few years now. The game is better off if he's in it. And I know people think I'm saying that because he's at the Broncos. I'd be saying it regardless of where he's at. I mean, we had a show together. Like, selfishly, if I'm being selfish, I want him to show together. So yeah, stoked to see Smithy in the Broncos colours, and yeah, the Broncos next few years, super interesting how that transition is going to work once the older boys do, once Hunts and Reynolds move on. You're going to have Pezzett, probably Moser, Mam and Walsh together with Cam Smith helping them out.
Just good to see a Battler club just, getting looked after.
Yeah. Well, hey, sometimes you just, it feels right, and Cam Smith at the Broncos feels right. Okay, some more big news. Blake Brailey, New South Wales have invited 30 players to a planning camp this weekend, one of those being Blake Brailey. And I even saw a report saying that he's almost the front runner for 9 next year. But I was a bit surprised at that, the fact that there's even whispers of that yet. He was outstanding last year.
What is your New South Wales 17?
Oh, well, let me start. I will say, I do feel like Reece Robson, a bit hard done by. I think he's been great for you guys in Origin. Like, the fact that this is even a conversation.
Like, where are the reports of him being the front runner or whatever?
Well, you'll Google it. I don't know, off the top of the dome.
Yeah, he deserves to be in the squad for sure, and I think he's probably next man up if Robson goes down. But Reece Robson right now, in my opinion, is the Blues hooker for game 1. That could change, but as it stands.
Speaking of that, you know what? Speaking of Reece Robson, I want to clear some things up because we put a snippet up talking about Reece Robson last week. You would have seen the snippet as well.
Why do you hate him so much?
Yeah, why do you hate him so much? The context matters, guys. We were talking about whether he will be the number 1 signing next year. And so a lot of people took, because we said that he wouldn't be a number 1 signing because he's not going to be the star showing, he's not going to be the highlight guy. That's because he's going to be playing a role at the Roosters. People assumed we're saying that he's not going to be good, he's not a good signing. It's like, you've got to understand, we're talking about, yes, I'm sure there are people out there that think Reece Robson's going to be the number 1 signing next year. I'm sure. I don't think that's going to be his role. He's going to be the underrated guy that, unless you watch super, super closely, you're not going to see what he's doing. He's going to essentially try to be Jake Friend 2.0. I think he's got a lot more to his game than Jake Friend. So I just wanted to clear that up because the context was the top 5 signings, so that next year we look at it and we go, who was the number 1 signing? To be the number 1 signing, you've essentially got to win a Dalian position, probably. That's what and yeah, so I just wanted to clear that up. As a Roosters fan, you would have obviously seen that snippet. But
yeah, I mean, good to know you think Reece Robson's a shit bloke. We've established
he's
that.
a gun. He's just not going to be his job.
What you said is correct in that, I don't think we can come up with a system that uses his at least attacking strengths. If he is expressive at dummy half, it's going to take away from everyone else in our spine that demands the ball. So he is there to tackle hard, to give good service. And I mean, look, I'm incredibly happy to have him on board, but it does almost feel like, waste isn't the right word, but it feels like we are underusing him maybe a little bit in that sense, but it's the best thing for the rest of the team.
Yeah, and so that's relative. We're speaking relative to the top signings. So if they go on to win a premiership and he's the best player all year, of course, yeah, top signing. But his job, and what's weird is people were saying, mate, his job is just to tackle and pass the ball. But that's what we're saying. If his job is to tackle really well and get good service, I don't think that's going to be enough to be considered the best signing of the year. I also think people underestimate how good Reece Robson is in regards to his running game, all the other little stuff that he has. So, yeah, I just wanted to clear that up. We're not saying he's not a great signing. He's a gun signing. We're saying his role won't be to stand out. His role will be the opposite. It'll be don't even notice him. He's so good, you don't notice him. Very similar to, guess who? Jake Friend. Never got a look in regards to top, number 9s. Because his role was very specific. Get the ball to the key playmakers and make sure you make your tackles. And so I just wanted to clear that up. There's not a single person here that doesn't think Reece Robson is a gun signing. Matter of fact, I'm the most sure, and Timmy, you brought this up when we were speaking, I'm the most sure he'll be the most consistent. If I had to say, okay, you've got to bet your house on a guy that's going to be a good signing and play 8 out of 10 each week, out of all the top 5 signings we had, he was literally number 1 for me.
Well, to put it on the flip side, say he'd landed at a Dragons type thing, let's say in a universe where there's no Damien Cook, and he goes to a spine that's, a bit less flamboyant, a bit less strike power in it. He'd be signing there, and he'd probably be encouraged to run a bit more and do a bit more playmaking around the ruck. And that's where you go, he could be the best signing in the competition. At the Roosters, with superstars in the spine, Tedesco, DCE, Sammy Walker, the role is different for him.
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example. Api Coruscant came to the club at the Panthers. when Nathan Cleary and Jerome Luai, this is from the CEO's own mouth, weren't ready to be the main men in the spine. So Api Koroisau comes, he changes everything for them, he kills it. 2 years later, they allow Api Koroisau to leave. You know why? Because they felt that Cleary and Jerome Luai were now ready to be the leaders in the spine. Therefore, Api Koroisau was almost surplus to requirements, because I don't want Api Koroisau out of the dummy half all the time doing all this crazy stuff. I want him getting the ball to clear his hands straight away, which is it's not saying that Api isn't good and not a great signing. It's saying certain teams need certain things. And so, for example, if he's landed the Bulldogs, you've got young halves that are very much, obviously they're not the same trajectory as Nathan Cleary, but they're in the same period of their career when Api Koroisau arrived to the Panthers, where they would need Reece Robson to lead the charge, to be making the decisions, that he's the one that's calling the shots. So there, I just wanted to explain that, because I just felt like I even saw some people, because they just read the quote, they're like, because we said he wouldn't be used in the snippet. We're saying like he's not going to be used to his full extent, blah, blah. We were like, he wouldn't be used, like he wouldn't make the side. I'm like, oh my God, bro. Please read watch the video.
But IUL is a pretty good player. Did
you have that article in regards to Blake Brailey, me?
There was one that said he was like a front runner alongside Reece Robson, but the ones I looked at...
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, why? I can't believe that's even... Front runner alongside Reece Robson. I think Reece Robson's been outstanding at Origin. And this is coming from... I'm a massive Blake Brailey fan, and there is a world where he starts a season, kills it, and he takes that spot potentially. But I feel like Reece Robson's been gunning Origin so far.
Yep, no, agreed. He's my hooker.
He definitely has been very good in Origin, and I think the incumbency there is certainly his strength. I do have Brailey as being the second best hooker in the world, in my opinion, behind Harry Grant.
Yep.
So if you're judging it based on that, maybe that's where they're coming from. But the other thing is, like, I think that it's such different styles of playing depending on which one you pick. Brailey is an 80-minute hooker. Robson will have that combination as well with Connor Watson in clubland. So you're sort of deciding between them two or Brailey. It's a tactical decision, not just a one-for-one comparison.
See, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I mean, it's in like you either got Brailey at 14 or you got Connor Watson at 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It is a tactical decision. So again, I don't think he's that much far behind Reece Robson, but I was a bit surprised that that chat is when I just feel like a lot of people, if you watch Origin closely, like Reece Robson hasn't let anyone down. He has been monster.
Brailey was in the Kangaroo squad and Robson wasn't.
Yeah.
So that's
interesting.
Another thing.
Interesting.
Although, yeah, I'm with you. Robson's done a great job.
Yeah, he's done a great. Like I get it form wise, to a degree with Australia, but I do think that if your form is still solid and you were really good last year, that does count for something in Origin. And I think that trying to build combinations. Anyway, that aside, I do think right now Brailey is the closest he's ever been to Origin. I think the back end of last year, it was like he woke up one day and just said, I'm going to start running the ball and I'm going to... It was like not like we had I think most Sharkies fans would say probably one of the most consistent players in the NRL before that. Very ever played below 8 out of 10, Blake Brailey. So durable. But the one kind of question was there's more in ya. We just need a little bit more in ya. And then he woke up one day midway through the year last year and just went bang. He was unbelievable back into the year.
It's like he was capped at an 8 out of 10, but he'd play the 8 out of 10 every single week. Yep. He couldn't play any better than that for what the role that he was playing. Then when he started utilising his running game that we've all seen from time to time, it's just never been a regular thing. And that's where, there's potential for this bloke to have 10 out of 10s because of how dynamic his running game.
And he changed their season.
Yeah.
They were down and out. And then Blake Brailey just lifted him off the canvas. He was phenomenal. I think that, yes, Reece Robson, absolutely, I think he's by himself the front runner. However, Blake Brailey can play well enough to pip him at Origin if Reece Robson doesn't play well this year.
Yeah, I mean, like myself, actually, Blake Brailey is a Menai boy from the Sutherland Shire. We get footy. There's something about something in the water down there. But yeah, I mean, he is, in my opinion, as I say, the second best hooker. I think on form at the end of last year was absolutely brilliant. It's about what style of a hook you want rather than which one of them is a better player. Yeah,
it's a good point. If you want a bit of a crafty number 9, I'd love to know defensively, numbers-wise, because I know Reece Robson percentage-wise is, I think, the best number 9 in the competition. I'd love to know Blake Brailey, what defensively, how far off he is, because he's a bloody good tackler. I would say in regards to contact and hitting, Reece Robson probably because he's a bit of a bigger body, but technically chopping blokes and that, Blake Brailey might have the best technique of any number 9 in the competition in regards to that because he's a smaller body. So look, I'm stoked for Blake Brailey. You know what else he represents as well? just a player that's just got runs and runs and runs on the board and just developed and developed and developed. Like, how often do we see like players' forms kind of go like that in and out of first grade or whatever? He has just been Mr. Consistent for so many years and built the game that he's got today.
Brailey was actually marginally better than Robson last year, but like by like less than 1%.
Yeah, wow, okay. In regards to percentage-wise, their tackle efficiency is essentially equal with obviously Blake just slightly better. I mean, I guess then the question is, in attack, there's so much more than tackle efficiency. So, yeah, there's more questions than that.
Put it this way, like, incumbency does matter when I think Reece Robson's been good for a couple of years, as you said. But if Blake Brailey were to be there game one, I don't think that much changes.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a shocker or anything like that. I do feel like sometimes Reece Robson doesn't get appreciated for how good he is because he was up North Queensland, it's almost like there's a lot of casual fans, and granted, I know defensively he has his shortcomings, but there'd be a lot of casual fans that don't know how good Scott Drinkwater is in attack. He is freaking he is obviously not on Reece Walsh's level right now, but he is Reece Walsh-esque in attack at times. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen him in terms of Dally M leaderboards year on year. He always sort of seems to be somehow kind of up there. Obviously, Tom Dearden, I think, has taken a lot more of that limelight now. But in terms of ball playing, Drinkwater's been doing it for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And I think when I think of Silky, I pretty much think of Scott Drinkwater.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, because I look at things through a Supercoach lens so often. And, like, there are teams and players that get forgotten about because they're sort of out of sight, out of mind, like the Cowboys, or Raiders, or Warriors sort of thing. Super coaches, none of that comes into play because you're just looking at stats so heavily. We're like, Scotty Drinkwater, attacking weapon, and we know how many tries, assists and tries and all that. It's a completely different lens.
Yeah, whereas like there's a lot of wider audience people that would like, Scott Drinkwater just wouldn't be mentioned in those kind of, but he is just, I mean, there was a period there where I felt like he should have got an opportunity in Origin, like, or at the least his conversation should, his name should have been thrown about. Gun. So, look, stoked for Blake Brailey, stoked for the Sharkies. I tell you what, if you're a number 9 of that club, you may as well just fucking pack her up.
Well, poor Jaden Beryl.
Yeah.
I feel like he's always been on the fringe, like for so many years now. But he just can't crack
like,
it.
Sharkies literally only need to carry 1-9 in their whole fucking top 30, which is crazy. Like they could, like last 4 years, they could have carried 1-9 in their top 30 and been sweet.
He's that good. He's that solid.
Fuck.
So match fit, so reliable.
So good. What about Api Koroisau? When we talk about Origin, is he still around the mix, do you think?
Feels like he's probably down the pecking order now if he's not in this camp with these guys. I reckon his best is still good enough, and some people kind of go, his defence, isn't that good? But his tackling efficiency is surprisingly, higher than you'd think it would be anyway.
Yeah, okay.
I just, sorry, Hammy.
No, that's okay. I was just, he's definitely, I think he's the best out-and-out attacking number 9 still. If that's the one metric you got in terms of creating stuff and getting a team going, I reckon he's still probably the best. They're probably more solid. You spoke about Reece Robson's like body shape and stuff. Probably can hit a bit harder and whatever, but I still think he's a really good player with a lot of good footy in him. But it looks like he's down the pecking order at the moment. Yeah,
I mean, as you said, if you need attacking flair, he's the best of the three of them. What he can produce for points and creativity around the ruck, I just think come Origin time when we're trying to repel, Pat Carrigan, Tino Fusumalawi and all these unbelievable middles, you just need the best defenders there. And we've got enough points in us. We've got enough superstars and these attacking weapons. I think you go the defensive 9, which is Robson or Brailey.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and if you're going to have like Cleary and Moses in the Haas, for instance, just get them the ball.
Get the ball. Yeah.
Yeah, don't fuss about with it.
Okay, Rabbitohs injuries. So there were reports Latrell had injuries to his calf, but he's already returned to preseason training, which is good to hear. Fifita has a rib injury, but not a long-term injury. The Fifita one, Jesus Christ, nearly had a stroke. The Fifita one, totally non-story, don't care. Latrell one, 2 things I really care about is his calf, again, soft tissue. 2, how's that getting out? An injury that small, how is that getting out?
Clubbing crisis.
That's like if it was, let's say it was a rib injury with Latrell, I wouldn't really care. I'd care more about the fact that it's getting out. But like, I am concerned a soft tissue injury. But I'd get it if he was out for 2 or 3 weeks because he's such a superstar. It's going to get out. The fact that he missed like 3 or 4 days of training and it got out, like, how is that getting out? That's the main concern I have with that situation. Timmy, I'll go to you first, mate.
Yeah, I mean, we say it time and time again, but Latrell needs to string together games at the Rabbitohs because since he signed with them 2020, he hasn't played more than 17 games a season. And then you see this come out in the preseason, as it said, albeit minor, but needs to put together something close to a full season. And it's going to be very fascinating looking back at the end of the year, the Rabbitohs injury toll at the end of 2026, because again, fafita rib injury, that's got nothing to do with training venue, whatever it is. But when they made that shift in training venue a couple of years ago and the injury toll that's come off the back of it, if that happens again this year to them, there has to be a freaking royal commission into that training venue and what's going on, because something has to change if it occurs again.
Someone needs to go down there and just sage it.
Maybe to sage it.
Yeah, just sage the shit.
Maybe we can make some content on that. We'll just go out there and sage it one day.
Sage the Rabbitohs training facility. Because last year was obviously a disaster and the year before not much better. These look relatively minor, but yeah, if there's another season like the last couple, honestly, since they've moved there, basically, it's been a bit of a shit show for them.
Matty, what are your thoughts on the situation, mate?
Yeah, I've heard that they've kind of changed their, I don't know if it's their physios or strength and conditioning or whatever, but there's been personnel changes there. But the main thing that caught my attention was last year I was listening to Cam Murray on Josh Mansell's podcast, and they were talking about all the injuries and stuff. And Cam was very matter of fact. He was like, I think I know what happened. I think I know what we have to do, without actually saying anything.
Yep.
So even though he didn't say anything, it was good that it felt like it's been handled. And then hearing the whispers that they've, changed around their stuff and that, I don't know, trying new stuff, whatever.
Are you a little bit worried that got out, like an injury that small?
Yes.
Maybe
I mean, just because it's Latrell, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it got out.
I just look at it and I go, with everything that's been going on the last couple of years with injuries, surely an injury that small, that's the last thing the fans want to know. Like, keep it in-house. It's only a few days. Get him back out there.
Yeah, I don't know how it got leaked, because surely no one in that building wants it to get leaked.
Is it something to do, like, some of these training sessions open and he's just standing around not doing anything and a few questions get asked?
Maybe.
But just say, we're just managing his load. That's what I don't, like, unless, the thing is, this is what I don't get about it, okay? If it was a 3 or 4 week injury and it happened on an open training session, you go, okay, they saw him do it. Like, that's going to get out. What I don't get is something like this you don't see happen. If he's back at training in a few days, that's not an injury that you see happen on a field. It's more of a pulled up a little bit tight, went and saw the physio. Because soft tissue injuries, you don't come back in a few days. That's how you redo them. So this is what I don't get, is like, how that got out is like bizarre to me, because you wouldn't have seen it happen. If he is standing on the sideline, there's so many lies you can tell. Managing his load, like say it's a shoulder, like say anything other than soft tissue. I don't know. I'm probably focusing on it too much. But it just pisses me off a little bit. To
Matty's point, Latrell could stub his toe in the sheds and news would get out. It'd be front page of the Telegraph because it's Latrell Mitchell, and just everything gets out and everything is, overstated. That's just
I feel like there's other clubs that nothing gets out of. Again, I don't know. I'm focusing too much on it. Sorry, Matty, before I interrupted you.
No, I pretty much said all I need to say. It seems like things are at least trying to be changed, and I guess we can only hope from here.
There's also been whispers that Sullivan is the front runner at the moment.
Yes, because Humphries is suspended. So he did a crusher tackle in round 27 against the Roosters, I'm pretty sure.
Jeez, he's looking hot. So hot.
Humphries?
Oh, man.
Yeah, he's hot.
He's so hot. He's so big, like Baywatch areas.
Yeah.
Get him on Baywatch.
I don't know if Bloat FC is still around, but surely a shoe-in.
No, we fucking ran out of money.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Had a big tax bill.
Happens to all the great
like half the team got locked up.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on Sullivan starting the year 7?
Yep, happy with it. I think it was out of him and Jonah Glover. I assume that's all the articles said, and I don't know, he hasn't even debuted yet, so it makes no sense.
Send an SOS to Dodd as well.
Yeah, give Dodd a call.
I have nothing to say about that.
What about Ilias? Bring him back.
Yeah.
The big fella.
What about that Reynolds guy? Did he go on to a do it?
Oh, that's a low blow.
Yes.
That is disgusting behaviour from a Roosters fan. That just signed DCE and he's talking about Reynolds has gone 5 years ago, mate.
I'm hoping DC does exactly what Reynolds has done.
What did Reynolds do after he left? Was it a grand final and then won a premiership? 2 grand finals, 1 premiership?
Yeah.
Okay. And the team that he went to as a spoon team?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
You wonder why they let him go.
I don't know why you're dissing me. I agree with you guys. I've hated this since day one. My stance hasn't changed. It's a terrible decision.
Position vacant at bloke. Producer. Resumes too.
Okay, on to the next. AFB. Adam Fenor-Blake has issued a stern warning. Not just a warning, it's a stern one, that rugby league could become unattractive to the bigger body players coming through as the NRL shifts to accommodate small players. Quote, I feel like the NRL changed the rules so many times to accommodate the small player, but it's starting to rub out the bigger player. Whilst the game is interesting when it's fast, the fans do love seeing the big boys running straight or doing these collisions. The way they are making the game at the moment, it's very hard for blokes like us front rows to stay in the game. They're taking the collision out of it. So in a few more years, there probably won't be need to be for bigger bodies like us in the game. I got to say, he's absolutely correct in the sense that if we keep tweaking it the way we're tweaking, big boys like him will not be in the game, and it will be almost. Sometimes it feels like it getting closer to an under-20s game rather than an NRL game. Now, it's not that dramatic. I don't think we're anywhere near it yet. I think we're actually. I felt like last year we had the perfect balance. Did you guys feel like we had the perfect balance last year?
Yeah, good.
I thought we were at a really good spot. You had big boppers that could still play, but at the same time, you had enough space for guys like Walshy and that to do something special. But he's right. If we keep going down this route of like, just everything is focused on attack. If you're a big bopper, you just won't have the motor to stay in the game. Like, you just won't. Boys, thoughts?
I am sort of like a little bit concerned that we might be trying to pander to a future audience with lower attention spans that like the action and the speed rather than the physical grind. You know, that at what point do you sort of step away from the pure elements of rugby league? But I will say, I mean, on this take specifically, like I feel that it has been around for a while, basically since the Six again came in. And as you mentioned, I mean, like last year we had Payne Haas, Terrell May, Fenor-Blake, who were as dominant as they've ever been. So we aren't quite there yet, but yeah, it's if we continue on this trajectory, which we could, I don't know if we will.
The only thing I'd say to that is like those three people you just mentioned are genetic freaks. You know, like what about the other big boppers that aren't necessarily genetically freaks and they only actually have, in today's game, they've got, like, put it this way, like in today's game, like back in the day, you could have a forward that could come on and play 25 minutes and just be this big bopper, just smashing through teams. I feel like unless you can get through minimum 35, but more like 40 minutes these days, you probably can't be in an NRL side.
Yeah, AFB is bang on with everything he said. And, like, the big boy is getting phased out. And, you know, Lee, your point's valid, but yours is even more, Kempy, because those blokes, it's easy to look at Payne Haas and Tino Terame. They're genetic freaks. AFB himself, like, mate, to play at the weight he does and the size he does, to be as fit as he is and to have the footwork, like, AFB is not the norm. Like, he's incredible, incredibly gifted, and, like, physically his attributes. This isn't a regular thing. The bar has changed in terms of with how quick the game is. The big boy is getting phased out. And I think the perfect example right now is Royce Hunt, who has had some good moments in recent years. And 10 years ago, probably would have been one of the better front rows in the game because he could be a 20, 25-minute impact man. Nowadays, like, apparently he's unrecognisable how much weight he's lost.
Well, look at the picture of Blake Laurie we saw.
Yeah.
We were talking about off-air guys. Blake Laurie's picture on Dragons. He looks not unrecognisable, but he doesn't look like a big bop front row in that picture.
And they're the two examples of exactly what AFB is saying, because those blokes, Royce Hunt went to the Tigers with pretty high expectations as a signing. He's a bench impact player, potentially even a starter sort of thing, and he got very little game time last year.
I'll tell you what, you got that right. I think I was saying he should start.
Yeah.
I think Rue might have been as well, and you were like, nah, definitely.
I'll get a few things right, mate. Thanks.
No, I know about that. Settle down.
I'll give you a compliment. But that is, and they've adjusted and gone, all right, if we stay at this playing weight that worked a few years ago, you know, especially 5 sort of years ago, we're not going to last in the game. It is too fast for the big boy unless you're, as we said, a genetic freak. So
look at Nelson. Yeah, Nelson's
out. Yeah.
He even has been quoted, I think, saying like maybe the game's passed me by. Like I'm too big.
And you look at, you know, the doggies are such an interesting example. We reference them a lot when we're making different points on this podcast, but it's always, you know, they're a smaller pack than others and they're not recruiting the big boys. They've got Leo Thompson now, but even Leo's pretty.
That's what I was going to say.
Big fella.
The thing with Leo Thompson is like he's got a lot of potential and he's a good big-ish front rower, but like I think that actually proves a point because he's being touted as a big bopper arriving at the club. He's not a big bopper compared to big boppers, if you know what I'm saying.
And I'm looking at the minds that are at that club in, Gus Gould and Cameron Straldo as much as anyone else, just going, they know what they're doing. And they're probably sitting there, they may be sitting there thinking, as clubs are slow to adjust to what the modern forward pack needs, and he goes, they might go, we've got it. And we're a step, and we might have this little window where we beat everyone to the punch, and we've got this mobile, more nimble sort of forward pack than anyone else, and that's when we can pinch a premiership. And not to say they almost did it in recent years, but they've certainly, defied expectation at the start of the season. And, they're adding new names to their roster. They're getting these new names more time together. So they could have the perfect forward pack this year, and we're sitting here saying, they're a bit small, or don't have enough enforcers. It could be perfect off the back of sort of what AFB is saying.
What do you reckon, Hammy?
I think you guys have covered it off pretty well, but yeah, definitely the more rule tweaks that happen, there's obviously a lot more awareness around, concussion and head injury and all that sort of stuff. So that's probably where the rule tweaks are coming from. But that is going to have an impact on, the role of some of these big units and the big hits.
I think would Fuifui and Moi Moi be able to play in today's game?
No. I don't think so.
I don't think you got the luxury of being able to carry unless we go back and look at his minutes. Apologies if I'm misremembering, but I recall him as being purely an impact front row.
Put it this way, not at the playing weight that he was at, I would be surprised. He would have had to have trimmed up, and maybe, and I'm sure he would have. But
yeah, of course. I mean, look, you know what? Another case in point, Junior Paulo. Basically, in the last year or so, he dropped like 10 kilos. Like, go and look at Junior Paulo, 2016 or whatever. The size, how much bigger he is than he is now. Like, he is way smaller than he was then.
Someone like a Shannon Boyd, who was a Kangaroos front rower at the Raid, just sort of went to the Titans. I know there are other things that sort of went on with Boydie and all that, but he was an Adonis. He was a big boy, one of the best in the game, front rowers, and just as the game got quicker and quicker and quicker over the years, he was one of the bigger boys who sort of got phased out.
And he specifically said that as well. I remember in an interview when he retired that the game had just got way too quick for a guy of his size.
Yeah, okay. I think a really interesting example of it as well is when all those six. Remember when the game was like when Manly were killing it, and funnily enough, Manly have struggled with the forward pack for a while now, and the game was so fast. It was six against everywhere. It was like it was too fast. It was too fast, and Roosters go on this massive recruitment push of all these crazy ball runners around the ruck, and then we slowed the game back down. And that's a good example of it working almost in the opposite direction, where Trent Robinson identified these rule changes have just changed the flow of everything, so he went all in on it. And since then, I think they made the wrong call. But I understand why the Roosters made that call. I'd love to get your thoughts around that time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I was particularly excited getting momentum guys like Brandon Smith. I thought Victor Radley, who was very much at the peak of his powers at that time as well. I thought little forwards were going to be much more effective than they ended up being in the years that followed. But, I mean, as I think it all comes down to, we have a good balance now. I hope it doesn't change. But the NRL sometimes can't seem to resist the temptation to do so.
Some of those rule changes. Oh, my God. I was going to ask you, mate, about in regards to the Roosters being the best forward pack in the competition 2026. What are your thoughts?
I definitely wouldn't have us as number one. I think your discussion the other week of it being down to the Broncos and the Raiders was probably right. But I am excited. I mean, look, I think given how strong the rest of our squad is, we've done well in terms of managing the cap to get, the likes of Nafahu White, Siwa Wong, Radley also developed in-house, sort of coming through on probably less money. I think that us being near the top relies almost on the likes of Siwa Wong taking a massive step next year, but I kind of expect that could happen. And then if you have a couple of the guys like Blake Steep, Celesi Fiketti, as well becoming properly good, solid first graders, that's all we'd really need them to be. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Thoughts on Radley probably playing on an edge?
Yep, I think Radley and Crichton on the edge. Because
Collins in the middle, do you think?
Yeah, Collins will
start. Where is
that.
Collins at clubland-wise?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I've said a few times that he was very much the guy who was going to take over from Jared. That was the plan for a long while, and it's become Nafahu White. It's not really a dig at Collins. I mean, we've seen what he does, particularly in the representative arena, but that sort of being the alpha of the pack has gone past him just a little bit. But all we need him to be is pretty much what he is, a very solid, not so much impact, but he sets the tone almost in the front row next to Nafahu White. You then have the likes of Spencer Leniu coming on. And
thoughts on Spencer Leniu?
I think he's very well suited to modern rugby league, but off the bench. He wants to start seemingly, but
thoughts on his form so far playing for club?
I've been content with it. I haven't been completely blown away by it, but it wouldn't stand out to me as someone who I think has been a letdown in any way.
Yeah. I agree. I think he's been solid. I guess the concern I have with it is, okay, you got Collins, who at this stage looks like he's past his best, and what an incredible best. Like, some of his Origin performances, like, seriously mind-blowing, and just an absolute, like, when you talk about mental toughness and being tough, there's not many blokes tougher than Lindsay Collins. Like, the amount of shots he will take and just get back up and takes the next carry, it's so admirable. But I think that he might be past his best. Angus Crichton's an interesting one because he was a bit quiet for most of the year last year, came good towards the end. I'm super interested to see how he goes this year now that he's signed with rugby. Victor Radley, probably play on the edge. Like, Victor Radley's gone from one of the better forwards in the competition to solid forward in NRL now. So I go, okay, you got Collins, who might be past his best a little bit. You could argue Radley, although still delivers good solid performances, probably not at his best at the moment. Angus Crichton, I'll put him in top tier just because, like, the runs on the board. However, I still am a bit interested to see now he signed that long-term contract. So I look at it and I go, okay, really it's White that's top def and, like, locked in, top tier, big dog in your forward pack. And that's where I have a little bit of a questions around the Roosters pack. Can they put together 8 really good games? I think they can. Like, can Radley have good, but can they have a whole season where they're all firing? That's where I start to have a little bit of a question. Young guys coming through are great. There's no denying that at all. But are they, when I compare them to, say, a Raiders forward pack, are they on that level yet? Not yet, in my opinion. Thoughts on those comments?
No, I think that's all completely valid. But the argument that I'd have is that the Roosters, all you need to be as a forward pack is good enough to create space for the backs, generate a little bit of momentum. And yeah, they probably won't beat the Broncos or the Raiders necessarily in a head-to-head battle, but they'll get enough space, I think, for the brilliant outside backs that we've got to do their thing. So, as I say, I mean, look, you can't have the best backline and the best forward pack, but I think we've got a very, very strong balance, 1 to 17, and all we need is the likes of a Siwa Wong to take a step up, and we should be good.
Guru's man, Wong. Guru's man, Wong. And quickly, we didn't speak about it, and, you know, I just want to make it clear, guys, if we don't speak about a team on this podcast, it doesn't mean we don't like them. We just forgot to speak about them. But there are a few Penrith Panthers fans a little bit upset we didn't speak about them. Are the Panthers forward packs being overlooked this season?
I don't think I overlooked it. They're kind of just like, I think last week when we spoke about the forward packs on sort of relatively short notice, we were talking about it, and I don't know. We know the Panthers forward pack's awesome.
Because you've got Lindsay Smith, Australian, Isaiah Yeo, Australian player, Liam Martin, Australian, Papali'i, who was outstanding through the middle, Moses Leota, who would make both Australian and New Zealand.
Scott Sorensen, underrated gun, who just had a few injury troubles last season, but like Papali'i, who's sort of getting back towards the best footy we saw him.
Well, he's one of their best forwards at the end of last year, in my opinion.
And, like, you know, I think 2-time edge back row of the year, or back row of the year at the Eels. He's getting back towards that, doing it between middle and edge, probably more as a middle forward at the moment.
I like him in the middle.
Yeah, their teams, like, their pack's unreal.
That's what I mean. I just, maybe even I'm guilty a little bit of it. Like, I still have them in my top 5 pack. Like, there's absolutely my top 5 pack, but name another pack that has 3 Australian starters and Moses as well, who would be Australian starter as well. Like, and New Zealand, obviously.
It's essentially the same sort of pack they've carried in recent years outside of James Fisher-Harris. Like, Leota, Kenny, Lindsay Smith sort of come into the starting side and is a rep player. Scott Sorensen / Isaiah Papali'i, Liam Martin, Isaiah Yeo. There's not been much change over there, and we just speak about Penrith so much, but of course they're top tier. Like,
and so I just wanted to mention that because I get the feeling that maybe we're almost like subconsciously relieved that they're no longer premiers. I guess it's 4 years in a row, so like because they bowed out against the Broncos, I do get a sense that people are underestimating the Panthers because you got to remember that Broncos game, they won at the death. And it was, and I hate to single someone out, but it was on the edge, the youngest edge maybe in the competition with Talangi and Casey McLean. Like, that's where the game was won, right there. And have you seen pictures of Blaze Talangi? Bro, he is looking massive.
Is he?
Oh, my God, bro. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because I do feel like even maybe I'm a little bit guilty of it. That was still always in my top 5, but is there a world where they have the best forward pack?
There is. I mean, I still think the likes of Liam Henry, maybe even Mitch Kenny are underrated by most fans. So that's probably where the grievance sort of comes from. But you listed off the number of rep plays that they've got in there, and they're like the very, very top tier. Leota is so good at what he does. Isaiah Yeo has been described as someone that knows the game better than almost anybody else. The way Nathan Cleary talks about him, you'd think that Yeo is the 5'8".
Well, tell me the last time a forward pack had essentially 4 Australian players in it. Because I'm not trying to discredit New Zealand, because that forward pack is better than Australia. But what I'm saying is that usually like that was the bar the last 20 years of like Australia was the best to get into that forward pack. Now I know times have changed, but like Leota would make the Australian forward pack. So you've got Leota, you've got Isaiah Yeo, Liam, Lindsay Smith in the Australian pack, and you've also got Liam Martin as well. Like, when was the last time you had 4?
Probably Broncos, early days.
Early 2000s?
Early 2000s, yeah.
Probably. So you got like, Webke,
Steven Asiva,
Thorny, Tunza, Tony Carroll.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember the last time there was that many top tier reps in a forward pack. So, even if you have them in your top 5, maybe that is underrated and they should be locked in top 3. For me personally, I've got them in my top 3. And there may be an argument for number 1, but I've got them in top 3. So I'd probably go Raiders, Broncos, Panthers. The interesting thing about the Broncos, though, it's just the Payne Haas factor takes it from like here to like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think there's very few other. Yes, if you took the best forward out of other forward packs, they would be less. But I think there's very few other forward packs. If you took a forward out, they would be that much less.
I also feel Payne Haas factor paves over some question marks on your edges, though.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I just, the Payne Haas, if you just had like, if Payne Haas was, let's say Payne Haas is a 10 out of 10, if you took him down to an 8 out of 10, I think Broncos pack would actually fall maybe even out of the top 3. Yeah. Probably out of the top 3, actually. And it would be a battle between Raiders and Panthers. So, yeah, I just wanted to be out because I do think Panthers are getting a little bit overlooked just for whatever reason. And I actually don't think it comes from disrespect. I just think it comes from they've been so dominant for so long, people almost don't want to talk about it.
It goes without saying almost when you're thinking about reviewing all the teams that you know what you're going to get from Penrith, they're going to be right up there. So it's a sign of respect almost rather than disrespect.
All right. Anything else, boys? Anything else? Oh, I mean, boxing fans, guys. Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez. If you're a boxing fan and you didn't watch that fight, go back and watch it. It's one of the greatest displays of fucking the sweet science you'll ever watch in your life. Anything else, boys?
No.
All good?
Footy's back this weekend. I'm excited about it. Got a couple of trials.
Oh, season preview next week, sorry. Dropping. 3 o'clock. The biggest show of the year. Be there.
Supercoach teams are ramping up, mate.
Okay.
And, if you're putting your team together, you know where to go.
SC Playbook. There you go.
And we learn on draw.shop. Orange, white and black Friday sale. Live now.
Boom.
Get on there.
Learn some lessons. Get on there.
Yep.
Alrighty. Got the Grumpy Coffee sale, guys. We've got the biggest bloke sale ever next week. Thanks to Lontel. Thanks to Aspley Mazda. Thanks to KO, Sportsbet, all that good. Oh, we're going to face the music with Sportsbet.
Very quickly. Super Bowl. Next, when the show goes live next week, it'll be happening. So, or we'll have just finished. So we'll face the music the week after. Seahawks versus the Patriots. Seahawks have
Seahawks 13 plus.
Seahawks 13 plus. I mean, you can take that if you want. They've had a great year. The Patriots, so they've won, I think, 16 of their last 17 games.
The Patriots?
Unbelievable stuff. So the Seahawks, $1.41. The Patriots are $2.93. Bit of value around the Pats if you like them. The line's 4.5. But if you just want to give me your team that's going to win, and then we might do the over-under on the anthem. How long will it go for? And also your Gatorade colour. Those will be the 3 that we'll go for this week. So, yeah, Seattle, $1.41. The Pats, $2.93.
Seattle.
Yep. Okay. Head-to-head or?
13 plus.
We don't have 13 plus, unfortunately.
No, they beat the margin.
Yeah. Minus 4.5.
And then the other ones?
Yeah, all right. Everyone give me that first and we'll go through the next ones. What about you, Lee? You can play for Guru this week.
Yeah, I'm not really an NFL guy. I know Guru very much is. But
being an NFL guy.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
No, but back when I was a kid, I remember looking at all the teams, and the 2 that I wanted to support were the Patriots and the Seahawks. I just liked their colour schemes, I suppose.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough decision for you.
It will be. But Patriots being the red, white and blue team. Got to go with them.
Yep, 293. Chase.
I thought it would have been the green with the Seahawks.
Don't worry, we've still got the Gatorade colour to come.
Oh, yeah, watch your space. Nice little tease.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So I like your numbers around the Patriots winning a lot of games of late, mate. So that's always a good tick in my book. So I'll go the underdogs and go the Pats.
You're welcome.
I'll go Patriots, but I'll give him that 4-point start.
Yep, okay. I'm going to take the Seahawks because there's a huge Rams fan, as we touched off a couple of weeks ago. It's always nice to know when your team gets eliminated to know that you've been beaten by the best team, and I think they'll do it reasonably well.
You wouldn't know what it felt like to be eliminated at finals in a while, have you?
Come on. Just no need for it. There's just no need for it. Clip that up. That's my HR file, please. Thank you. Seattle -4.5 for me. All right. The anthem. They've set the line, the traders, at 119.5 seconds. 119.5. Over $119.5, $62, under $2.15. What do we think? Over or under for the anthem?
I think it's going over because everything going on in America right now, there's going to be some passion.
Yep.
Some runs.
Yep.
In the vocals, so I'm going over.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're going to make a point of it, of trying to get as much national unity as possible, so definitely over.
Yep.
Mate, the last chord of the anthem will go for longer than that, so overs.
Well, no one's going unders, so I'll go unders.
Yeah. A little bit of value there, isn't there? $2.50. I think it'll be a close one. I'm going to go unders, $2.15. Now, this is the one we're all here for. There's plenty of markets, of course, but which colour, what is the colour of the first Gatorade poured on the winning head coach? Now, here's the market at the moment. Orange, $3.25. Yellow, lime, or green. They're all bundled together, $3.50. Blue, $4. Purple, $7. Clear/water, $8.50. And then red or pink is $10.
I'm going clear.
Clear at $8.50.
Yeah.
Yep.
Leaguey green, baby. It's got to be.
Leaguey green, nice, $3.50.
Yeah, Pats coach Mike Vrabel. I'm sure that's how you pronounce it. Big New South Wales Blues fan, so they'll be going blue.
Yeah, blue, $4.
Yeah, I'm with you, Timmy. It's got to be blue.
Yeah.
Look, it's an omen, $3.25. You're the Tiger. I'm going to take the orange, the favourite. I think, interestingly, the Tiger's also about paying the same to make the 8, so read into that what you will.
So it's not going to happen?
Come on, mate. Just no need. There's just simply no need. But there's plenty of good markets up there. We've got, obviously, the coin toss. Will a player cry during the anthem? Go check him out. I'm sure Kempy and myself will chuck a couple on the feed as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going player crying in the anthem, surely.
Yeah, $1.30. Short,
yeah,
but...
lock her in.
Yeah.
Lock her in. Alrighty, that's us done and dusted. Thank you, as always, to Sportsbet. We've got so many cool things planned with Sportsbet this year, so make sure to stay tuned. And as usual, give League a follow. We got a great video actually about how rugby union in Germany and all that good stuff.
History, sort of French rugby league when the Nazis were occupying it, is a fascinating story. So definitely give it a watch if you haven't.
Alrighty, as usual, we'll go fuck ourselves. Thank you.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.